Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So if you have seen my latest videos, then you may guess that now, yes, I have had my baby. So we are 9 weeks postpartum. Today I want to talk about something that I have been thinking about for a really long time since I got pregnant, or even actually before I got pregnant. If this is your first video here, then this channel is all about the fact that I have eczema and some allergies. There is a big hereditary part in immune disorders. So if one person in a family has one of these allergies or allergic conditions, you're much more likely to have other members of the family also have these conditions as well. So since I got pregnant, I have of course been thinking a lot about the fact that I really want to reduce the risk of passing this on to my children. There are some parts of that I won't be able to control, but there are things seemingly that we can do to really kind of reduce the risk of allergies and allergic conditions from developing later in life. Of course, I need to start off this video by saying that I'm absolutely not a doctor, I'm not medically trained, this is just my own research. Before we go into all the kind of the tips and the lifestyle alterations that you can make, just want to kind of give a sort of a bit of a broad introduction in terms of what we know about allergies and eczema. I'm sort of using eczema and allergies and that kind of immune condition, all those words kind of interchangeably. But what we've seen in the past kind of 50 years, I'd say, is a huge increase in children developing one of these allergic conditions. And it seems to have gone hand in hand with urbanization and industrialization. So basically what that means is more of us are now living in towns. We're not living in the countryside, we're not farming. Industrialization also means that we have more chemicals around us, what we breathe in, what we put on our skin, and also in part what we eat. Now there are a few theories as to why industrialization and urbanization has led to an increase in immune conditions, but the most prevalent one is a combination of, number one, a disturbance in our microbiomes. So that includes both the microbiomes in our skin as well as our gut. And the second one is about degradation of our skin barrier. So the things that we do now in order to reduce the risk of developing allergies and skin conditions is to kind of tackle and address both of those factors. So I'm going to split the tips that I'm following into 3 key categories. And the first one being how to protect the microbiome. The second one is to how to develop the microbiome. And the third one is how to protect and help that baby's skin barrier to stay healthy and strong. Also, I just want to say, and I know this is making this intro a bit long, but it's really important that I say this, there are absolutely no guarantees. The only thing is that we know that there are some links between these things, and like I said, these are just risk factors. There is no hard evidence that any of these things either cause or prevent an allergic condition. Like I said, they have just been shown to be links between them. Just wanted to preface that. Okay, now we can actually get into the things that I'm doing. Should we do some filming? Yay! So when it actually comes to the protection and the development of the baby's microbiomes, I think there has been a little bit of like a sort of a slight miscommunication in some of the findings that we have up until now. Because the microbiome is an ecosystem of bacteria, often the way that we say when we are too clean gives the impression that we need to kind of keep our babies dirty. We definitely don't want harmful bacteria to be getting onto or into our babies. So basically where we want to be is kind of like a happy medium in terms of cleanliness, I suppose. So on the one hand, we definitely don't want to be under clean or dirty. So we don't want to be, having a dirty house, and we still want to be making sure that people are washing their hands when they're talking to the babies, or touching the babies rather. But equally, we don't want to be over clean either. So we don't want to be using too many products. We don't want to be washing too often, and we basically don't want to do anything that's going to disturb all the good bacteria. So with this in mind, what we actually did is when he came out, we asked the hospital not to bathe him straight away. And the reason being for this is that when babies are born, when they're going through, particularly if they are vaginally born, which he was, when they are going through the birth canal, they are coated in lots and lots of good bacteria from the mother. So this is really to kind of kickstart their microbiome, and we really wanted to make sure that we didn't disturb this as much as possible. I think actually what we did do, we did give his hair a little bit of a rinse because he was born with quite a lot of hair and it was a little bit gross and it got a little bit crusty. But other than that, we just kind of rubbed him off with a towel and we took him home, and we actually waited a whole week before we gave him a bath after he was born. So then now that we are giving him a bath, what we do is we actually only bathe him every other day. The third thing that we do is we actually make sure to not use any products. At least for the time being. This might change, particularly when we start needing to actually kind of wash his hair. But yeah, we just use completely pure water, lukewarm. So that's kind of what we're doing in order to make sure that we aren't disturbing his microbiome as much as possible. So the first thing is getting lots and lots of skin to skin. So skin to skin is exactly what it sounds like. You're basically getting your skin and the baby's skin, you know, kind of touching. There's a few ways that you can kind of do this. So the first one is something called the golden hour. So this is when the baby is first born. The baby can be placed on you. That also helps to kind of kickstart breastfeeding, but also it is good to kind of start developing that microbiome and the baby's kind of first exposure. So the second thing you can do is contact naps. So you just take your top off and, you know, get the baby down to their nappy, and you just let the baby have a nap on you, and it's very cute, but it's also very good again to kind of help them to develop their microbiome. This is also something that you can do with lots of different people, so not just myself, but also the baby can sleep on your partner or your husband or whoever, and again, it's just like a nice way for them to get lots of exposure to lots of different people. You know, the baby finds it very comforting and very nice as well. I did find it a little bit of a pain just getting him in and out of his romper all the time, especially at the beginning, because their hands are kind of not coordinated, and kind of getting their little arms into the sleeves was a bit of a pain. So what I would do is actually just roll up the romper up to their armpits. So it's basically just like their stomach and their legs are exposed. And then same with me, I would just kind of wear a shirt and just open up my shirt and just let the baby sort of lie on my stomach or my chest. I don't have to go like completely topless every single time. So another thing that the research has found is that breastfeeding seems to have a very protective element when it comes to lots of different conditions, but that also includes allergies, immune conditions, and also eczema. So the reason being is that breast milk has lots and lots of protective antibodies. It has exactly the right amount of nutrients that your baby needs, and it also does help to develop their microbiome. Now, we actually struggled quite a lot with breastfeeding, so we had a bit of a tongue-tie situation going on. So I have been almost exclusively pumping, and we are breastfeeding a little bit now, a little bit more now. This is something I can talk about in another video. Another thing that I did is that I have been really, really strict about taking probiotics. I take very, very strong probiotics, but I'm hoping that this should also help to pass on to my baby. I did do some gut tests and it showed that I do have like a lack of certain strains of bacteria, which are very important for the immune system. So that's why I'm really kind of religious about taking these every single day. And again, I'm really sort of hoping that this helps to pass on to my baby as well. Other lifestyle factors that have really shown to reduce the risk of immune conditions in children, this includes both allergies, eczema, as well as asthma, is being around pets, and particularly dogs. Cats and dogs both seem to have some benefit or some protective element to it, but dogs in particular, if you have a dog, then this also greatly reduces the risk of the children developing immune conditions. Also, children living on farms, so if you're around livestock, if you happen to be around livestock, then that also seems to have reduced the risk of developing allergies. But the reason being is most likely we think it's something to do with, again, that kind of the variation of bacteria that those animals are bringing in. So I think this is going to be something when the baby gets a little bit older. He's only 9 weeks now, but definitely something that I'm thinking about, like if I can borrow a dog every now and again, or if we can go to our friends who have dogs. I think that could be something that we can do. And the baby is now crying, so I will be back very shortly. The other thing that I think is really, really important, we are talking about kind of especially especially when it comes to skin conditions, is protecting the skin barrier. So the first thing I have done is I've swapped our laundry detergent for something that is enzyme free. When you see laundry, you might see that it says bio and non-bio. Laundry detergent that has bio in it, basically what that means is that there are enzymes in there, and what those enzymes normally do is they break down protein. So for example, if you have food stains are made of protein. The enzymes will then help to kind of degrade and get rid of the stain. Unfortunately, what this means is that when babies have a very, very fragile skin barrier, some of these detergents and some of the enzymes in this detergent could potentially be sort of actually degrading some of the proteins in the skin. I swapped to something that has no enzymes in it, and the brand that I'm using is something called Eczema, and this is part of their Zero range, and it has no enzymes, and it is specifically made to be hypoallergenic. So another thing that is really, really important to reduce the risk of eczema is moisturizing. So same with adults. If you have dry skin, you're much more likely to develop sort of irritations and essentially allergic conditions and dermatitis. So this is the same for babies as well. When I am using anything on the baby's skin, I always make sure that it is seriously, you know, gentle, non-toxic, yada, yada, yada. So places you really want to make sure you're focusing a lot of the moisturizer is in the kind of the folds of both the arms and legs. So kind of here, on their backs of their knees as well. Also, you want to be making sure that you are focusing around the neck, behind the ears, and anywhere else that you might see that there's a little bit of dry skin. So what I read, which I thought was really, really interesting, is that if you have a baby that has a compromised skin barrier and particles manage to get into the baby through the skin, so say for example you have peanut particles in and around your house, if the peanut particles get into the baby through the skin, that baby is then much more likely to develop an allergy to peanuts. Now this is the exact opposite to when the baby gets a little bit older and you start weaning them, you start introducing foods. It's actually the opposite for when you are eating. So if you are eating peanuts kind of early on and making sure you are getting a wide variety of foods, and the foods are getting into the baby through the stomach, then you are much less likely to develop allergies. That's another reason why it's really, really important to make sure that the skin is nice and protected, and it's very, very good to keep your skin nice and soft and supple. So there are two other things which I was contemplating whether I should mention them or not, because I would say that these are very much kind of lower priority, but they are things that people have actually asked me about, so I thought I should mention them here. So the first thing I wanted to mention is antibiotics. If your doctor tells you you need to take antibiotics for whatever reason, or your baby needs to take antibiotics, take those antibiotics, take the full course, follow all the medical instructions you've been given, because antibiotics save lives. Now the reason I wanted to mention it here is because antibiotics, obviously what they do is they kill bacteria. Unfortunately what that means is that antibiotics not only kill bad bacteria but can also kill off good bacteria as well, so this can really kind of disrupt microbiomes. If for some reason you have to take antibiotics, then maybe you just want to think about, you know, speaking to your doctor, seeing what they have to say about this. If there's anything that your doctor recommends in terms of, you know, preventative measures, or if there are any probiotics or anything that you can help to sort of, again, mitigate any disturbances in the microbiome, either in yourself or in your baby, speak to your doctor about this. But I would say definitely don't not take antibiotics, because like I said, antibiotics, they save lives. They're really, really important that you take them. The second thing is also baby probiotics. So I do know some people who, for example, feed their babies probiotics because of colic, and I personally haven't got to the point where I am needing to give my baby probiotics. I personally feel that there's not a huge amount of research or evidence behind these baby probiotics yet. So I personally am kind of avoiding them, and at least for the time being. Again, if my doctor recommends something to me or thinks that I need to feed my baby some probiotics for some reason, then I will of course do that. But I personally am not going to kind of self-prescribe, but possibly this is something I might do in the future when the baby is a little bit older. So I think that's all I wanted to say for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you had any questions, then please do leave them in the comment section down below. I also just really want to say that if you have a baby who has an allergy, obviously please go see a specialist and please go listen to your doctors over and above anything you hear on YouTube, myself included. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you give it a big thumbs up. If you want to like and share, if you want to subscribe, if you want to see more videos like this, then please do consider subscribing, and I will finish the video there, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!